Welcome to Blooming Joy at the Early Brain Academy. It is indeed my pleasure to see you here today to learn about your newborn and to learn how to be a confident parent the moment your baby arrives. And it is always a joy to see parents like yourself who want to make a difference in your child's life. And truly, through so many parents and hundreds and thousands of parents that we've been talking to, coaching, and engaged with, there is always this very critical component in every child's life that makes a difference. That is you, parents. And it all started with you being the learner parent, to learn all that you could to nurture a PIES achiever. As some of you have already heard what a PIES achiever is, I'll be talking more about that in a while. So do welcome you to our part one, Blooming Joy. In this part, I will be bringing you through really the very fundamental about the early brain. Okay, about the early brain, the critical pathways that leads to how the brain is being formed and nurtured to be a better brain in your child's life, and more importantly is what you parents can do to actually nurture that brain to achieve PIES. PIES is actually very doable. It is not something that we leave it to nature and wait and see how our child becomes later on. Yes? No, you don't have to, because actually there's a lot of things that's within our control so long as you know the science behind it. You know the biological need, the neurological need of your child, right? And also the psychological need. So this is going to be a very rich program that you're going to embark on together with us at the Early Brain Academy. And I will be coaching you throughout, right? How to nurture PIES. And yes, Blooming Joy is the beginning of PIES, of course. So let me quickly walk you through what exactly is PIES, right? We talk about the physical. Pi, the first P, okay, actually P is physical. Physical achiever module, where we actually work on the motor pathways. Yeah, the motor pathways is where it connects the back and the front of the brain. This is where we talk about the motor pathways, and I will go on to expand a little bit more to explain to you what these are. But it's important for us to start working, and this is the best time. The moment your baby arrives, you know what? The moment your baby arrives, a healthy baby that breathes, that moves, has the need, right? Has the need. The brain has a need to grow as well. So we parents can actually nurture that. Okay. Then we talk about I, right? The I meaning the intellectual achiever module that you're going to learn as well in the Blooming Joy, where we are going to walk through how to nurture the intellectual. However, parents, as I said, Blooming Joy is a course that you take in your child's first 3 to 4 months. It is always good that you're starting right now, because the moment baby arrives, the baby hears and see light, there's already stimulation happening in the brain. Yeah, there's already something happening in there. And it is really up to us parents to see how far, right, we can take that. Okay. Yeah, I will explain more. I'm very eager to really share so much. Yeah, but I think let's go step by step. PIES. Okay, that's what PIES is about. PIES, and E and S, actually you will see that growing further, which is the frontal cortex work of the brain. All right, the frontal cortex work of the brain, where it talks about expression, understanding, problem solving. That is the output of the brain. However, parents, you realize that, when I say output, there must be input, isn't it? So the input comes from here, which is the P and I. And there's still input that connects to the frontal cortex, but very important, parents must already start to learn how to communicate to the child. And in order for you to learn how to communicate to your child, you must first understand your child, right? Then we know how to communicate. This is exactly what I'm going to teach you, what I'm going to share in this first part of the module. Okay, the first part of this Blooming Joy module, and eventually we are looking at the whole pies to become a pies achiever. This is where we talk about the progression into the High Achievers Academy, which is a further journey that many parents would take with us as we progress. All right, but for parents like yourself who is going to deliver, babies coming, it's such an exciting time, and I find that many of our parents become so confident and so sure, because you know your child well. I must say, whenever a baby arrives, there's so much opinion, so many different people who are excited for you as well, I'm sure. And I must say, yeah, we are all human, and it's always exciting to see a new life in our life, not just mommy, daddy getting excited, grandma, grandpa, people around us, and many are trying to offer their advice and what advice to take, which way to take. Yes, parents, this is where in part one, I want to give you the understanding through science, not by opinion, but to understand your child. Okay, so we are going into how the child is going to learn the moment baby is born. Yeah. So yes, welcome to Blooming Joy. Our Blooming Joy program consists of exactly what we're going to talk about: P and the I. Okay, in Blooming Joy, we're going to focus on the P and the I because that is where we are going to tackle in the first 3 months. And then, of course, there will be, actually, I must say we cannot segregate, okay, the PIES. Just that the activities we're going to do will be very much more on P and the I because that's the beginning, the setup of the back of the brain that receives the input. Yeah. Then as we progress along, that's where in the High Achievers Academy, our parents continue to learn the P and the I and add on how to manage the E and the S as we progress. Yeah, so that's why you see I didn't light up these two because it is there. It will be growing ongoing. Okay, it will be progressively growing. Just that it will not be immediate. Yeah, immediately observable, and it takes time for you to nurture P and I in order for this to appear. So just to share, I have parents who have missed out the first 3 months, like yourself, who is in a very good place. I have parents who missed out the first year. Parents who only come to the Early Brain Academy when the child is 2 years old, some at 2.5. And we find that, yes, these children still have a lot of opportunities that we work together with the parents to nurture the rest of the child's life. But there's something just very apparent that we have to undo. And there's something parents ask me, Patricia, my child just doesn't have attention. My child just doesn't sit down to read a book with me. And even the activities that I teach them at the beginning, parents say, oh, the child will just walk away and so on, right? Yeah, because the child doesn't have attention. All right, so we don't take attention for granted, parents. Attention needs time to nurture. All children born are with short attention span for the reason that the early brain has that exponential need for connectivity. All right, the current that is happening in there, we can't see, but it's happening. All right, so there is a tremendous need for that stimulation. And it's also observable that parents who actually spend time doing the P and the I at the beginning, it connects the brain in an orderly manner, right? And that's where the children are calmer, the children follow easily, and it will be a much smoother journey, okay, as we move on. So I'm really very proud of you parents who are here to learn the Blooming Joy, right? We are actually going to spend 7 parts together over the next 3 to 4 months, all right? At the end of Blooming Joy, this is what we are going to achieve. The potential, you're going to learn right now, today, okay, the potential of your baby's brain. And I'm going to also share with you so that you can have better understanding about your newborn. The moment baby arrives, you will be much more informed, all right, about why baby behaves this way, why is my baby crying, why my baby is not sleeping. Well, all of these answers will be here. Okay, you're going to learn that today. Then, of course, subsequently in future parts, you're going to learn the application of Blooming Joy pertaining to the P and I. E and S, you will hear me, I will just share, but not really giving you specific activity yet, partly because it takes time for E and S to grow only when we put in the P and I first. So yeah, you're going to apply the P and I system using our VAST kit, all right? And also step-by-step method, okay, and techniques in applying it accurately so that we can optimize the opportunity for brain growth as we move along. All right, there's a lot of fun activities we're going to do, and mummies, those of you who are working, you're now on maternity, this is the best time to bond. All right, it's the best time for you to bond with your baby during this period of time, and you are also growing to understand your child as you bond, right, doing the activities. It also helps you understand your child better, and all this comes together. That all makes your parenting journey so much more joyous. All right, as you grow. So let's go. Let's go. Let me explain to you, okay, how this whole journey is going to take, all right, in the next 3 to 4 months. Well, as you are watching me now, you should be minus 3 weeks to EDD, all right? That's why I put this in part one, where before baby arrives, I want you to be prepared, right, to understand. So I will be talking about the early brain. What exactly is the early brain about? Right, the circadian rhythm that also talk about sleep cycle. To understand the sleeping cycle, you must first understand the circadian rhythm. And I'm also going to talk about attachment and security, the need of a child, and also hopefully all these understanding help you make some decision as you move along. Okay, as you make decision even from the moment you're born. Right, the baby is born. All right, and the feeding and nutrition of a baby, yeah, preparing for baby's arrival, the do's and don'ts, and I will start to introduce the P&I system so that in part two, the moment you enter, okay, we are going into much deeper P&I applications already. So today I'm going to walk you through, and I hope this excites you because these are going to form your firm understanding and your foundation, right, in applying a lot of things with your child beyond blooming joy. Okay, the moment if you understand your baby well, don't you think you're going to be a much joyous parent, much more prepared, more confident, and even when your baby is crying, you don't have to panic, isn't it? Because you understand why your baby is crying. So that's what part one is about. Okay, that's what we're going to cover, and yeah, part 2 to 5, and then we have 6 and 7 later on. Okay, I don't endeavor for you to be reading everything on the slide. Okay, even on some screen, this might be small, but these are all in the notes that you receive. Yeah, so and you just find these notes downloadable in the learning portal. Download them, and this is where the schedule is, all right, for the next few parts. So part 2 is -2. That means you watch me now, part 3. Next week, you're going to start receiving part 2. But part 2 is for you to start doing the activities with your child the moment your baby arrives in the first 2 weeks of your baby's life. Okay, so these are actually supposed to be practical, just that you're going to learn the practical before baby arrives, so that when baby arrives, you know what to do. And I want to encourage you, even when the moment your baby arrives in the first week of arrival, do rewatch part 2, so that there may be certain points, additional nuggets that could encourage you, could give you further tips to handle your baby, because you have a physical baby in front of you to handle. So do watch that. Okay, so that's one part 2, and part 3 will start to flow in from week 3 to week 4 of your baby's life. And in every activity I'm going to give you is to last you for every 2 weeks, every fortnight. Nice, right? Yeah, every fortnight you come in to learn something new to add on into your baby's life. Just every fortnight you enter into our space learning portal, and then you learn something new to add on. So every part, I will be talking about P and the I. So there will always be little activities that you do meaningfully and with great confidence that you are growing the physical and the intellectual part of the brain. All right, and then 6 will be much later. in week 9 and 10 and 11 to 13. That's where we will wrap up the full blooming joy, and progressively every 2 weeks you receive something new to do with your baby. And I'm sure you're going to have so much joy as you start to see, right? Every 2 weeks as you add on, your baby's eyes sparkle even more, and your baby's responsiveness also increases, and more smiles as well with you and your baby. Okay, so you're going to see this. And then one bonus, I'm going to give you a bonus after this part, 13 parts. Week 14, between week 14 to 16, that period, because depending on how our time match, right? I do have group coaching call where my team is going to arrange group coaching call once you finish the 13 weeks to have a crawling review. So we'll tell you what to do by then, okay? What we do in the crawling review, that's of a physical, the manual competence review as well, just to get feedback from you. And at some point in time, sometimes we even have you with your baby to show us, all right, some of the things. So yeah, I'll give you the detail more as we get there, all right? So this is what we do. And we're also going to review your child's VAS, the VAS review, and getting feedback from you about your child's reaction and whether your child is ready to progress on. Because I must say, many parents, once they finish the journey in Blooming Joy, certainly parents will want to know about our academy. That is where in this session, I will also be sharing about HAA. HAA stands for High Achievers Academy. So at the end, I will be introducing HAA to you as well. So that's how we close Blooming Joy. All right, but it's not closing. I always say Blooming Joy is always the prelude into the High Achievers Academy. I'm so looking forward to seeing you with your baby arrive and you sending video on how you're doing with your baby. It's always a beauty, to behold when I see parents with new arrived baby somehow. All right, so why are we doing this, parents? I know you are really doing something very different from many other parents who may not have encountered the Early Brain Academy, have not known Blooming Joy. But why we were doing this, okay, it's because I'm sure you're here, you're learning, it's because you believe the same thing as my team, the same thing as I believe, is that every child born needs the enriched environment, the enriched environment and opportunity, right? Early as from birth, right? We can do something to develop the better brain for the future. We're talking about the future, not just the next 3 months, 1 year, but it's for the future. But a lot of untaught or parents who have not learned what I'm going to teach you, they may think that, oh, what's there to teach? There's a newborn. How can the newborn learn? Parents, you need to see learning from a different perspective, okay, which I'm going into, right? I'm eager to teach you. Yes, let's get into, okay. I'm going to talk about the early brain, and that's where you're going to hear it and learn it and understand it from the early brain perspective. All right.